Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, you guys, this comes from Freedom Magazine. And remember, freedom equals 33 in gematria. It's the master number. Master. You know, like master and slave? Yeah. Our spiritual headquarters welcome to flag. And of course, they're just as brazen as ever. Look at these young girls. See that? Also known as a minor. It's hard to see from far away. I would venture to guess the person in that couch to the left-hand side is a minor. And possibly the lady in the red sweater, maybe. And then if you look behind the lady with the red sweater, there's a young man in a suit. I believe he could possibly be a minor. And the person walking next to him, based on size, I would venture, is a minor, otherwise known as a child. You know, the Fort Harrison Hotel that they're not allowed to leave. Grand entrance. Sweeping curves. I'm not even going to read that. That's so silly. Breathtaking. In the opening scenes of a new Inside Scientology episode, viewers appeared to hover above a majestic architectural monument, the Flag Building. Wonder who came up with that goofy name. A 21st century structure of sweeping steel and marble, brilliantly lighted by the bronze rays of Florida's sun. Could it get more cheesy? The camera's eye pans from the Flag Building to the sprawling campus, you know, where they have child labor and minors working illegally, human trafficking of children from other countries on R1 visa fraud. Yeah, that building. The place where they lock up children in these small auditing rooms and will not allow them to leave. Yeah, that building. Campus of the international headquarters for the Church of Scientology in Clearwater, Florida. There is nothing comparable to the Flag Building in Florida. Oh, narcissism much. Indeed, only a very few cities can claim they are homes to international religions. Their names, Rome, so they're comparing themselves to Rome. Mecca, Salt Lake City, are synonymous with the highest aspirations of humanity. The quest to comprehend the infinite and eternal. Religions all have holy places. If you look at religious architecture throughout the world, some of the greatest structures ever constructed, are religious structures. Yeah, it's also where they harness energy based on how they build the churches. Dr. John Farina, George Mason University. What a great name that is, Mason. That's also true in Clearwater, Florida, the global headquarters of the Church of Scientology. The notion that the Clearwater ranks, you know, children. among the world's religious headquarters is stunning, as are the landmark buildings in Clearwater. You know, the ones where they don't pay any taxes. Yeah, those buildings. Where many thousands of the religion's members work tirelessly. See how they use their little magical word? Members? Let's just call it what it is, children. The adults can decide on their own. Children can't. Where many thousands of the religion's children work tirelessly. Many of them that don't get paid. If they do get paid, their volunteer pay, it might be 1/8 of the normal pay. Sometimes they don't get paid at all, which I thought was a crime. Not to mention working children is against the law, but what do I know? Laws. For their spiritual advancement, at a cost, everyone knows that there's a cost, and for the betterment of mankind. As long as you open your wallet, it's for the betterment of mankind. Unless you're an unhoused or otherwise known as a homeless person, which, by the way, a lot of the Scientologists that don't have a lot of money could very well be homeless, but they won't help them. They will hoard donations, though, for homeless people. What's also stunning are the reactions from many hundreds of people, like children, who daily step into the 3-story atrium of the Flag building. Well, let me just talk about how many suicides have happened there, or wrongful deaths, or otherwise known as mysterious deaths, because these people were not allowed to leave or get medical attention. Let's talk about those people. Lisa McPherson comes to mind. There are others, believe it. The Scientology Cathedral. Listen to that, you guys, fancy. Scientology has a cathedral now. They're going to start wearing the priest robes as well? Which coincides with satanic rituals, but what do I know? Those people aren't just Scientologists. Ooh, what are they? You mean all the child labor in there? The exploited and raped, physically abused and neglected children? Tell us. On April 23rd, 2018, about 1,200 people, children are in there. Many who were not members of the religion. They love that word member. Don't they just love it? Assembled at the Fort Harrison. Ooh, like the military? Good try. The historic Scientology religious retreat in Clearwater. Oh, it's a retreat? I thought you were a church. Does that include children giving grown-ass adults massages? We saw all those massage tables you guys have. So children can do touch assists on grown-ass men, otherwise known as grooming. Yeah. To watch the new Inside Scientology episode on the Scientology Network. You know, the one that looks completely fake and is back in the 1980s. Itself a major new outreach, because nobody does internet, for the church that had debuted on March 12th. Oh, not on Ron Hubbard's birthday? Why not on L. Ron Hubbard's birthday? Inquiring minds want to know. The 2 new network shows zero in on Flag Inside Scientology. Do they talk about all the sexual abuse of the children? Or how the children are working in the cafeteria, which is against the law? Or about all the parents that just sign over their children like their possessions? How about that? The 2 new network shows zero in on Flag Inside Scientology, as well as one of the religion's largest and most active local churches, Tampa. Oh, Davy Miscavige, ecclesiastical leader, is he now? There's a rumor that David Miscavige had a young girl who was a sex slave. I tend to believe it, and I'm going to do a lot more research into Christy Woods and her children. Yeah. Go look at the filthy text messages that David Miscavige allegedly, we all believe it's David Miscavige that sent those messages to her. We'll take you through all of it, he promised, amid a backdrop of the Flags Building's atrium. The show featured the hundreds of activities ranging from spiritual counseling, no, more like interrogation, to humanitarian programs. Unless you're an unhoused individual in Los Angeles, especially the disabled Vietnam veterans. They don't like to help the Vietnam veterans. We caught that on film. One of them did. To the details that make the nearly 60-building Scientology campus in Clearwater so remarkable. Blech. Nowhere is that remarkability more evident than at the Flag Building, the cathedral. The cathedral, isn't that funny? Of Scientology. The vast dimensions of the Flag Building's atrium, enveloping columns. Columns like Joachim and Boaz? Those kind of columns? Inquiring minds want to know. Enveloping columns of fluted travertine and curved glass and steel create more than awesome visual impact. The messages encoded. Ooh, messages encoded, you guys. Do tell. In the atrium are the true impact. I'm thinking of that book. I read this book years ago. What's his name? Tom Hanks was in it. And it was all about codes. Hold on, I gotta look it up. I gotta remember where I'm at here. As I was looking it up, I remembered it was the Da Vinci Code, which I think is definitely controlled opposition. However, when I was really waking up, that movie was beneficial, and the book was even better. And I can't help but think about the atrium, because there was a point in time where Tom Hanks and the French woman who were on a mission to find out what the codes were, they were in the museum in France, Paris, France. Can't think of it right now. Famous museum. The Louvre. I believe it was the Louvre. Anyways, just the atrium just made me think about that. One sculpture soars from floor to ceiling, showing man's progress from a dead state to vibrant spiritual freedom. Is that what the children that get raped are told? Is that what spiritual freedom looks like, getting raped as a child? Inquiring minds want to know. Other sculptures depict the 8 dynamics. The first dynamic is the individual, which, they just snuffed that all the way out. And then the second dynamic is a sexual dynamic. And I don't want to keep beating the drum over and over, but we know what they do with the children. Of survival, from the individual through all of humankind to infinity. I don't know how much of this I can read. It's all the propaganda. Let's see, you guys. She looks like an adult. She looks pretty young, if you ask me. Doesn't she look young? Spiritual technology. Tradition and technology coverage in 3,777,000 square feet of this modern cathedral. 77 is the magician number, but I'm not sure what the 377 would mean. Utilizing 21st century technology, really, and NASA level engineering. The 5th floor houses superpower, which awakens innate perceptions on a spiritual level. Why didn't it work for Lisa McPherson then? Inquiring minds want to know. Why didn't it work for Lisa McPherson? Sunday service, they're hanging on to that one, is held in the Grand Chapel on the 1st floor. Wouldn't you guys just love to see what kind of weirdness they do on a Sunday service? Which they're all forcing everyone to go to. You all know that. In the Inside Scientology series, no place is more essential to Scientologists than what's chronicled in the new episode, the Flag Land Base in Clearwater. Imagine they're still making films when everyone else is using cell phones, computers, laptops, Rokus, and all this technology. They're still making films. Religions all have holy places, sacred sites. Well, do they now? Observes John Farina, Associate Professor of Religious Studies at George Mason University, who was interviewed for the Flag episode. If you look at religious architecture throughout the world, some of the greatest structures ever constructed are religious structures. When people go into a sacred place, they have an experience of the sacred. That's certainly true in Clearwater, where the Flag Building and other Scientology structures, notably the historic Fort Harrison Religious Retreat. It's a retreat now, you guys. Add beauty and importance to the cityscape. Said who? Said who? They always project. They always project. Lena Pyrick, president of the Flag Service Organization, tells network viewers, Flag is a place you can just concentrate on your spiritual enhancement, especially when you have the child auditors massaging the adults and calling it touch assist. Oh, let's not forget, the adults can request special children that they want to do the massages, the auditing, the touch assists, all for a price. Kind of like the children are being sold in a way, isn't it? The episode explains Scientology spiritual counseling, which is termed auditing, and the e-meter, the crucial religious artifact used in much of the counseling. Equally important is how the religion's members implement humanitarian programs, from disaster relief to drug prevention. Oh, drug prevention like Narconon, where how many people have been killed, to include minors under 18 years old? Yeah. That must be what you're talking about, huh? To human rights education. Oh, like Youth for Human Rights? Youth is just another word for children. Working children and making children volunteer is illegal, no matter what you all tell yourselves, no matter what fake stories everyone's trying to tell. It's unlawful. It is illegal. Flag is a dynamo empowering the outreach of those campaigns. This is too much. Well, it's almost finished, or else I was going to cut it off. An enticing element of the TV program involves counseling called superpower. Too bad Lisa McPherson didn't get her superpower. Part of which utilizes 21st century technology. This is just so much rubbish. They're not even using up-to-date technology in their orgs or their missions. They're not allowing children to go on the internet. They're putting those little babysitter things on everyone's computers. The nanny, the net nanny or some stuff. It's just too much. And NASA-level engineering to awaken innate perceptions on a spiritual level. And viewers get an introduction to the Scientology religious order. There's that word again, you guys. You guys think they don't use that word for a reason? How many secret orders have you guys seen? You got the Fraternal Order of the Police and all different kinds of orders. In fact, it was rumored that P. Diddy was in a secret club, an order. And there's pictures on the net all over the place of P. Diddy and Jay-Z taking solemn oaths into their order. The Sea Organization. So the Sea Organization's supposedly a religious order. At Flag, 2,400 members, like children. Tirelessly work, for no money. It's otherwise called indentured servitude, child exploitation, human trafficking, child exploitation, child abuse, physical abuse, neglect, corporal punishment in some situations. Work at everything from auditing, which is actually interrogation, to get everyone's blackmail material. Auditing services to maintain the stellar quality religious retreats for visiting Scientologists. Imagine being fooled into this and thinking you're going to a religious retreat. Do they get additional, government money for calling it a retreat? Did you know Scientology does take a lot of money from the government for different programs? It's a television story, television, created in the 50s. Story told I don't know what I'm saying. Told by people, like children, who work at Flag, like children, live in Clearwater, like children, and travel to the religion's spiritual home, like children, seeking freedom and the tools to salvage mankind. Watch it on the Scientology Network and on Scientology TV. TV that they created in the 1950s. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night, wherever you are. Peace.